Good morning. You are looking live at Notre Dame's campus. This is a picture of the Jordan Hall of Science, and we will take you through a shot of campus, moving our way over to the Hesburgh Library. Hello and welcome to Notre Dame Day, a celebration of all things Notre Dame. We are coming to you live from the Grosjean Family Loft in the Duncan Student Center on the University of Notre Dame's beautiful campus, and I am Pete Byrne, the sports director for WSBT Television, the CBS and Fox affiliate here in South Bend, Indiana. Happy to be joined by someone who knows Notre Dame very well, Colleen Wilcox. Colleen.
So happy to be here and glad to join all of you as well. Now here at Notre Dame, I'm currently a content strategist for Notre Dame International, but also a former anchor for the ABC affiliate in town. I'm happy to be back in front of the camera once again. At Notre Dame International, I am lucky to be able to tell stories of all of our remarkable students, alumni, and faculty who are doing some really, really big things all over the world. Though I myself did not graduate from Notre Dame, I feel like I've come to know the true story of this university. People here are so focused on pursuing knowledge and skills that allow them to positively impact our society. I see it every day at Notre Dame International, and I know you'll see it here as well at Notre Dame Day.
Well, let's talk about exactly what we're doing here today. As you can see, we have quite the production happening, from those of us here at the anchor desk to our interview areas to the camera crew we have in front of us and all the many, many people manning the control center. You see them right now. Wave, there you go, guys. They're working here in Corbett Family Hall. This is what it takes for us to bring you 29 straight hours of stories about the students, faculty, alumni, parents, and friends of Notre Dame. These stories are filled with the passion and positivity that define Notre Dame, and we know they will make you proud of this university. We've had an amazing show thus far, and there is so much more excitement to come. Later on tonight, during our 7 o'clock hour, superstar Irish singer Chloe Agnew will be performing live from the DeBartolo Performing Arts Center. And Chloe will be a tough act to follow, but if anyone can do it, it's the stars of the Chicago Broadway smash hit Hamilton. That's right, they will be performing DeBartolo Performing Arts Center as well during the 8 o'clock hour, and there are free tickets to both of these performances, which will be distributed at the DeBartolo Center starting at noon today, so get in line now.
That's right, Pete. And tonight, during the 9 o'clock hour, we're also going to crown this year's champion of the Fighting Irish 40. Students will compete in a 40-yard dash at Notre Dame Field to see who is the fastest person on campus. Some of the contestants actually will run against members of the Notre Dame football team. But I have to say, my favorite part of today is the $1.1 million that you, the viewers, are going to help give away to Notre Dame student organizations, athletic teams, and academic units. Now, here is how it works. Your gifts that are made today go to Notre Dame. They earn you votes that you can then assign to any of the 900 entities on campus. The more votes each organization receives, the larger the percentage of the $1.1 million they will earn at the end of Notre Dame Day. 5 donors were kind enough to provide the money for Notre Dame Day. You can be a part of giving it away to various Notre Dame organizations. Just click on the Vote Here button you see on your computer screen. It's really that easy. Now, you can also watch on Facebook Live if you'd like to go there and vote, NotreDameDay.nd.edu. Now, if you're interested in what's coming up later, you can also view our full broadcast guide on the website right now. We're kicking off our 14th hour. We're going to wrap up the show at midnight tonight, so be sure to donate. Also submit all of those votes.
Now, coming up this hour, we've got plenty of stories that people are going to want to stick around for. You're going to hear from a Notre Dame faculty member who's keeping a close eye on a bald eagle's nest here in South Bend.
That.
I know, very cool. You've even seen some remarkable footage of the baby eagles from the nest. That's coming up. You're going to hear from Notre Dame's Executive Vice President, John Affleck Graves, as well as the director for Notre Dame's Ruth M. Hildebrandt Center for Compassionate Care. We have a Notre Dame alum who's the senior digital editor of Men's Fitness magazine. Very cool. He's going to be bringing you some new exercises to try. I'm curious to check that out. And we're also going to be interviewing a pair of individuals who are key organizers of the 2019 U.S. Senior Open Golf Tournament, which will be played here at Notre Dame's Warren Golf Course next summer. And to round out the hour, we'll be speaking with a few students who spent their winter break on a service trip to Jamaica, and also talk with Notre Dame's first ever female police chief. Very exciting stuff. That's all coming up in the next hour, but right now we need to send it to the Broadcast Social Media Center for an update on the votes that you, the viewers, have cast so far.
Hey, Thanks so much, guys. And what a show this year. It's tough to compete with things like baby eagles. I'm excited to see that coming up. We're live here in the Social Media Center. Thanks to each and every one of you who have helped make Notre Dame Day 2018, the 5th annual, the biggest event of its kind in higher education. We all know, nobody does it like Notre Dame, and Notre Dame Day is no different. So if you haven't gone out there yet, make that minimum $10 gift and cast your 5 votes to help allocate this year's $1.1 million challenge fund. Also back this year, the 1842 Challenge, where we divide all the Notre Dame clubs around the country and around the world. They have their size categories, and the winner of each category will receive an additional $1,842 to benefit their local club scholarships. Wanted to highlight Group C in this hour. Many familiar names, if you've been with us for in past Notre Dame days, many familiar names in Group C. The Notre Dame Club of Central New York right now in the lead with 261 votes, but this is close. You know, Lehigh Valley, we love seeing our friends in Lehigh Valley every year on Notre Dame Day. Thank you so much for being a part of this again. 183 votes. The Notre Dame Club of Hawaii with 130 votes, followed by Naples, Ventura County, El Paso, Sarasota. Mid-Hudson Valley, we love seeing you Mid-Hudson Valley every year with Notre Dame Day as well. We're hoping for a big day from all of these clubs. Remember, all of those votes, they help allocate the challenge fund towards local deserving students who want to make that Notre Dame dream a reality. So one of the best ways they can get out there with the message, Shelby, is with social media.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to remind you to post on social media as often as you can to spread the word. You're going to want to use the hashtag ND Day and post on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter just to get the word out there.
If Stuart, Florida can do it and be in 3rd place right now among every Notre Dame club in the country, any AOI can do it. So get out there, get on social media, start sending those emails. We're just getting started. Lots more to come from the Social Media Center. For now, let's send things back upstairs.
Come out to one.
All right, I am back. I am joined now by Diogo Bolster, the director of Notre Dame's Linked Experimental Ecosystem Facility, also known as D-LEAF. Professor Bolster is also the Frank M. Freeman Collegiate Chair Hydrology Professor. And of course, thank you so much for joining us. Now, the Linked Experimental Ecosystem Facility is quite the mouthful. I said it right, though.
You did.
Can you explain what ND-LEAF is?
So LEAF is this really, really unique facility that we have. It's embedded in a local county park, St. Pat's County Park. And it's basically a bunch of interconnected streams and ponds and wetlands that we can control and manipulate to conduct some really unique and special experiments. Last summer we had some really exciting stuff happening there where people were looking at the transport of nanoparticles, transport of viruses, nutrients, so that we can better understand how things move in the natural environment. It's also been a really, really successful partnership with the local county, to foster better relationships with the local community and all.
Yeah, and what is your role with ND-LEAF?
So I'm the Associate Director of the Notre Dame's Environmental Change Initiative, and under that guise, my primary responsibility is the directorship of ND-LEAF.
And I understand a lot of people talking about this. You have 2 very special feathered visitors at ND-LEAF. Tell us a little bit about this. A lot of buzz around this.
Yeah. About 3 years ago, we had a pair of bald eagles. They took over a red-tailed tawk's nest, and they've nested there for several years. And it's been really, really exciting because each year for the last 3 years, they successfully fledged an eagle, which has been really, really special and spectacular.
Special and getting a lot of attention as
well.
well.
It is getting a lot of attention,
and
yes.
You've been able to get some pretty close-up footage, too, I understand, of the eagles, and that's been pretty exciting for you guys.
Yeah, it has been. About 2 years ago, we managed to install one camera, which got a side view, but just this last fall, we've installed this camera here, which I think you can see right now, which has an overhead view into the nest. And as you can see there, that's a slightly outdated footage, but that's a pair of eggs, which, if you look now, has transformed into those baby
there
eagles.
We go.
There you go.
And can you give us an idea quickly, too, of how rare a nest like this is?
So within St. Joe County, there are 2 known nests.
Okay.
There's one of them at Potato Creek State Park, and there's this one here. Within Indiana as a whole, I believe there's somewhere between 200 or 300 of these nests. In many ways, it's kind of been it's a real success story of shows that how conservation practice and policy can really, save a species and be successful, because bald eagles, the cornerstone of the United States, they were threatened and endangered for a long, long time, and they've been removed from the endangered species list, which is pretty special and spectacular. So it's wonderful to see them thriving, particularly so close to home.
I think that's why there's so much interest as well. And if people want to go and see it, what's the best way to do that?
So the best way of doing it is ndleaf.nd.edu. And while you're there, take a look at the research that we do too.
And what can we expect from the eagles and their parents really in the next few weeks?
So the eagles, we expect, will stay around for about 2 months. They're going to continue to grow and get bigger and bigger, and eventually they'll get too large to actually be in the nest, but they'll still hang around and you'll be able to see them. That's when you'll really be able to take advantage of the side view camera as you see them flying around. And in about 2 months, the parent eagles will probably give them a gentle nudge and say, you're no longer welcome here, it's time for you to go and make your own homes elsewhere.
And why do you think that this has gained so much attention with the local community and beyond?
I just think it's exciting. I mean, to be perfectly honest, who doesn't? I mean, take a look at them. The baby eaglets, they're adorable, they're cute. Every morning at breakfast, the first thing my 2 kids want to do is go onto the Eagle Cam and take a look at it. So it's charming, it's charismatic. I mean, it's amazing the stuff you can see on there. The adult eagles are bringing in all sorts of foods. It's really interesting to see what they're feeding them, how the process works. Even if you go back and just look at the whole thing, the way it happens, I mean, it's beautiful to see a pair of eagles working together to make this all happen together. So it's just one of these things where nature is beautiful, and this is one way to really, be a part of it and live in it.
Be a part of it, and a lot of people embracing it as well. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much, Professor Bolster. Thank you for joining us here on Notre Dame Day. And coming up next, Pete Byrne sits down with a few Notre Dame law students who are assistant rectors here on campus. That's right after this quick message. Stay with us.
The kids in our ensemble are from incredibly diverse backgrounds. We have kids who are at risk. We have kids who are the children of Notre Dame professors. But all the things that could divide them disappear when they step on stage.
Caesar's ambition, which swelled so much that it stretched the sides of the earth.
Christy Burgess is the founder of the Robinson Shakespeare Company, a theater group at the University of Notre Dame's Robinson Community Learning Center that serves children from all parts of the South Bend community.
It's kind of hard to think about a 15-year-old, black girl from the Midwest connecting with a 16th century Elizabethan bard. But love, sadness, grieving, death, murder, they happen every day.
About some half-hour hence, pray you speak with me. For this time leave me, you shall at least go see my lord aboard. I had a lot of struggles with depression and stuff. I really didn't think I was gonna finish high school. And now I feel like I have more infinite opportunities to be able to get into a college and graduate.
In the summer of 2017, the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust invited the Robinson Shakespeare Company to England to perform at Shakespeare's home and walk in his footsteps.
At Notre Dame, we're committed not only to teaching Shakespeare, but also to use Shakespeare to transform people's lives. Shakespeare's more than just a book on a shelf. His work endures because he gives us a way to learn how to live.
You've not heard you say, love's reason without reason.
For many of these kids, there's not a safe place in their lives for them to step out and take risks and be vulnerable. Through Shakespeare, they're able to do just that and turn it into something beautiful.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting for Shakespeare for all.
We are the Fighting Irish.
Welcome back to Notre Dame Day. I'm Pete Byrne, and joining me now are 2 Notre Dame law students, Brendan Barber and Samantha Schuler. Now, here at Notre Dame, many law students become assistant rectors at University Residence Hall after their first years. Brendan and Sam are here to talk about their time as assistant rectors and how it's enriched their overall Notre Dame experience. Sam, I want to start with you. First of all, welcome both of you to Notre Dame. It's a pleasure to have you here. What does an assistant rector do? We'll just start with the basics.
Okay, so it kind of differs from hall to hall. I'm an assistant rector in Pascagoula East Hall, and we are really supposed to be RAs to our RAs. So the RAs are the seniors in the hall. We have 6, and we're really there to support them. They're kind of the front line with all of our women. But we're there to support them as well as interact with the undergrads, kind of serve in a mentorship role to the rest of the women in the hall.
And I know a lot of law students do this. So, Brendan, I'll ask you, why personally for you did you decide to become an assistant rector?
Yeah, so when I came to Notre Dame for law school, I wanted to get involved in the broader university community. And I felt like there was no better way to do that than getting involved in the dorm life at Notre Dame, which is obviously an integral part of the mission, the educational mission of undergraduate education here.
Absolutely.
And so as an assistant rector in Dillon Hall, I've helped out with our Hall Gov, helped plan events and act as a resource for them. I've helped our rector, Father Doyle, with a budget, and I've also helped our coach, our Dillon Hall football team. And Notre Dame is one of the few undergraduate institutions that still have a tackle inter-hall football league, so I've enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, don't underestimate the importance of that to the student life. Tackle football, I remember it.
Yeah.
For either of you, why do you think that being an assistant rector is an attractive job for law school students?
Can I take it?
Sure.
I think it really forces law students to kind of take a step away from the law school. So law school can be 3 really selfish years.
Yeah.
And to take a step away and to kind of join that larger undergrad community is really beneficial for us. It also helps us, form leadership skills, mentorship skills, and kind of just teaches us how to walk with people like where they're at. Something that I think we'll encounter when we're lawyers and people come to us with their problems. So it prepares us in a lot of ways for that.
So let me ask you this. How do you balance the job of being an assistant rector, which is in a lot of ways a full-time job, with the rigors of being a law school student?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of transferable skills to when we will be attorneys, and one of that is prioritization of your time. So it can be challenging at times when an event is coming up for the dorm, or there are other things going on in law school, particularly with finals coming up soon. But for the most part, you learn to balance your time. When you're on duty, you are able to kind of study during that time as well. So if anything, it may have strengthened my ability to study at times, particularly on a Friday or Saturday night.
I'm going to go off script real quick because both of you guys have mentioned how it kind of applies to your future jobs. Have you found when interviewing for jobs, and both of them, by the way, have jobs next year, that firms that you've talked to are interested in the fact that you're being assistant rectors?
Definitely. I think especially when you come across a Notre Dame alum, whether they went here undergrad or whether they went here law school, they love to hear, that you're involved in the dorm life, because that is such a central part of their own experience here. And I think it also shows that you're kind of more than just focused on your studies. You're more than just, someone that's focused on their work. And they're kind of looking for that whole person. Thing.
Part of the reason why you come to Notre Dame Law School is, of course, the alumni community, graduates of the law school itself, and also Notre Dame lawyers who are undergrad graduates but went somewhere else for law school. And having that connection to a dorm just helps you, connect with, I guess, alumni when you are interviewing for jobs.
Absolutely. Lastly, before I let you go, how do you think that being an assistant rector has helped both of you grow as individuals?
Yeah. One last reason why I came to Notre Dame was the Catholic aspect of the university, of course, and I feel like being an assistant rector, living in the dorm community and going to dorm mass has helped me strengthen my faith, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, I would echo that, and I would reiterate that it forced me to take a step away from myself, and I think that now looking back on my 3 years here, we're both about to graduate, and it could have been so easy for me to just focus on myself these 3 years, and in that respect, I'm so grateful for this position.
Certainly. Well, Sam, Brennan, I want to thank you both for taking a few minutes out of your day to join us here on Notre Dame Day. Best of luck to both of you next year in your jobs.
Thank you.
And down the road. We're going to take a quick break, but after this, Colleen Wilcox will interview Notre Dame's Executive Vice President, John Affleck Graves. That's right after this brief message.
On March 8, 2014, while riding my snowmobile, I hit a hole in the ice, was thrown 80 feet through the air, and suffered a cervical 5 spinal cord whiplash injury, rendering me an incomplete quadriplegic. When you're suddenly paralyzed, one of the first thoughts that goes through your mind is, will I ever walk again? And will I ever be normal? Walking becomes an obsession, every step forward momentous, and when you hit a plateau, it can be devastating.
At the University of Notre Dame, Professor Jim Schmiedler is using robotic analysis to help individuals with spinal cord injuries learn to walk again.
Individuals with spinal cord injury have difficulty in how they use their hip and knee joints to absorb energy on each step. Our robots face similar challenges. By using tools from robotics to model human locomotion, we can better understand the deficits these people must overcome in relearning to walk.
In collaboration with neuroscientist Michelle Basso at The Ohio State University, Professor Schmiedler is helping validate downhill training, an innovative technique to help individuals who had plateaued in their recovery.
Jim's work in robotics has been critical in helping us improve therapeutic techniques for people with spinal cord injury. His engineering expertise is bringing a whole new perspective to our team.
This research has potential to have a real impact on people's lives. My hope is to help all those who have stalled in their recovery. These people have overcome tremendous hardship, and we don't want them to just get better on the treadmill. We want to improve their quality of life.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting to walk again.
We are the Fighting Irish.
Welcome back to Notre Dame Day. I'm Colleen Wilcox. With me now is a very special individual, the University of Notre Dame's Executive Vice President, John Affleck Graves. And Dr. John Affleck Graves was elected Executive Vice President in 2004. His responsibilities include overseeing human resource activities for a workforce of more than 4,000 employees, the largest employer, by the way, in St. Joseph County, as well as directing the university's construction program. And thank you so much for joining us today. Now, first, tell us about the Duncan Student Center and how it's really enhancing students' experience at Notre Dame today.
Yeah, we're so excited about this center. You know, it's become home to our students. They do so much here. They eat here, they study here, they meet with their friends, they exercise, they do all sorts of other activities. So just a truly, truly exciting space that will become such a central part of university life.
Very exciting for students, especially.
Very exciting.
Can you kind of walk us through the building, the first and the second floors?
Sure, it's a big building, 120 yards long. The first floor, just a wonderful space where students can come in, they can, get Asian chicken in the Asian Ginger restaurant, they can pick up a pizza or a salad at Modern Market, they can get a gelato, which is very, very popular.
That's very popular,
in the Higgins Cafe. There's a beautiful stadium seating area where they can sit and work tables where they can meet with their friends, meeting rooms. Those are all on the first floor. When you come up to the second floor, we have a lot of meeting space for our 440 clubs. Hope a lot of people will be supporting those clubs on ND Day. There's also lounges for graduate and undergraduate students. And there's also all of our student media are here. So Scholastic, the Juggler have space here, 2 radio stations, and this beautiful studio here, which is just a wonderful space for our students' TV station.
Yeah, first year to use it. It is absolutely beautiful. And also, what are students experiencing then on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors?
Right, so the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, the 3rd and the 4th floors are our new Rec Sports Center. So, it's so important that students learn to look after their bodies through their lives. We've been able to treble the amount of exercise equipment that we had over at Rolf's, and one of the busiest places on campus now. There's weight machines, there's free weights, there's studios, there's a suspended 1/6 of a mile jogging running track, and then there's a climbing wall. So just 3rd and 4th floors, that's absolutely heavily utilized. You can go up there live, lots of students doing all sorts of things. Then the 5th floor may be one of the most important spaces on campus, because while it's wonderful for us to have these students here for 4 years and educate them, we have to get them on the next path to the rest of their lives. So the Career Center, helping them decide where they're going to go, where they're going to work, who's going to employ them. So another spectacular facility, over 100 yards long, the biggest career center we think in the country. 89 interview rooms, much more than we've had before. So another very, very important space on campus.
Something a lot of people are also talking about, the School of Architecture. They have a new home as well, and they will. And when will that facility be ready?
So the new, the Matt and Joyce Walsh Family Hall of Architecture opens January 2019. So very, very pleased that that building is coming on well, and lots of studio space for the students to work in, and also the architectural library will be there.
And in addition to the Walsh Family Hall of Architecture, what are some of the other new facilities that are currently being constructed right now?
Well, I think one of the most important one is the new men's residence hall. So that's going on just next to the bookstore, and that will open next August. So not this August, but following August, the young men will move in there. It's also we're also doing a big dorm renovation project. So 2 years ago we did Walsh Hall. This year we did Baden Hall for the full year. The young ladies from Baden moved into Pangbourne. This coming year, the men from Morrissey Manor will move into Pangbourne for a year, and we'll redo the manor. And so long overdue project, and the year after that the men from Dillon will be done. So those are great projects that are going on. And then we'll also begin the design phase for the Racklin Murphy New Museum of Art, which will go down on the sculpture park, the Charlie Hayes Sculpture Park. And that's a facility that will probably come online around about the end of 2020, beginning of 2021.
Just seems like there's a lot of exciting projects coming up, a lot of energy on campus. Do you feel that?
I do. It's amazing. Every time we finish a round of buildings like the Crossroads, I think, okay, we're done for a while. But there's just so many great things that we can offer, great opportunities for our students, places where, as I say, where they can come here and relax, be with their friends, eat, exercise, but also places where they can do more research, meet with faculty, and so just a really exciting time for the campus.
All right, well, we thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it here at Notre Dame Day. Speaking of the Duncan Center, we're joined now by Karishma Desai at the Duncan Student Center as she speaks with Notre Dame alumnus and senior digital editor of Men's Fitness about effective ways to stay in shape. Karishma?
Thanks, Colleen. I'm now here on the third floor of the Duncan Student Center with a man who knows a thing or two about fitness. Michael Rodeo is a Notre Dame alum and the senior digital editor of Men's Fitness magazine. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks, Krishna. Thank you so much for having me here.
Of course. So I understand that you have a few workout moves to teach us today so we can stay in shape.
Absolutely. So one thing that is really apparent when it comes to Notre Dame fans, they're really passionate about their Fighting Irish. And as an alumnus, I know I've been to a lot of games where it's really important when fans participate, they really want the Fighting Irish to do well. And so that's why today what we're going to work on is a couple moves to make you stronger for the Notre Dame football cheers, so that when you're in the stadium, you're not getting tired on the fourth quarter. When the Fighting Irish need the audience's help, you're going to be right there with them. So, yeah, that's the goal for today.
That's great. And before we begin, just a little background on yourself. Where are you from? What's your history with Notre Dame?
I'm originally from Oceanport, New Jersey. I now live in Brooklyn, and I graduated in 2012. My degree was in piano performance and journalism, so that's how I got into the fitness magazine world.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so let's get started.
Absolutely. So the first one we're going to work on is the exercises for the jig. The jig requires a ton of core strength. You're on like narrow benches, right? You got to have some good leg strength, and we got to maintain our balance. So the exercise we're going to do for this is really simple. It's called the speed skater, and we're just going to lunge laterally. It's going to go like this. Right? We're going to keep our foot back. We're going to dip a little bit, do a little bit of a curtsy at the bottom. You got it. Yes, absolutely. Right. Yes, that's right. And it's really simple. If you're following at home, get out of the desk chair. You know, those emails will wait. The emails can wait. So we're going to do that first. That's really simple, and it's going to be great for your glutes, and it's going to be great for your legs, and it's great for your core. The second one we're going to work on is a familiar one. It's not really a cheer necessarily, but the Celtic chant. And the Celtic chant is really familiar to Fighting Irish fans. We have this, and it's basically going to be a pretty shoulder-intensive exercise. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab some dumbbells, and we're going to do what's called an Arnold press. We're going to keep our palms towards us, and then just press up and rotate as we come around, like that. So that's a lot of fun. The last one we're going to do is probably one of Notre Dame's most notorious cheer celebrations in the stadium. It's push-ups. We've all been to those games. Notre Dame scored, hopefully, a lot of points, a lot of touchdowns, and we got to do push-ups with that one guy at the dorm who probably hasn't worked out since high school. So we're going to do some medicine ball. We're going to put these together real fast. The first one's called the medicine ball thruster. We're going to come down, come up, let the momentum carry the ball up. That's really simple. The next one, because core strength is really important, whether you're pushing someone or whether you're doing the push-ups, just a really simple plank. I'm going to get on the floor, start like this, right? From there, we can do a classic push-up, so very simple. let yourself come down and up. Now, push-ups are tough for some people, so we're going to do a variation. We can put our hands on a box. It's called an incline push-up sometimes. So we're going to do this. Really simple. Come down, come up, a little bit less range of motion, and at the very end, we're going to do what's called a decline. And that's it. That one's a little challenging, yeah.
So work up to that.
Right, absolutely.
All right, great. Thank you for showing us that new workout material.
Absolutely, yeah, and I expect everyone to be nice and strong when they come to the stadium this fall.
Great, and I understand that you're also going to be reporting for Notre Dame Day.
That's
right.
right.
We'll see you a little bit later in the
Absolutely.
broadcast.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks again.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
going to turn it back to Pete Byrne in studio. Pete?
All right, Karishma, thank you. That was really entertaining stuff. Thank you so much. I'm really excited now about our next guest, a pair of gentlemen who are playing major roles in bringing the 2019 U.S. Senior Open here to Notre Dame's Warren Golf Course. It is an honor in and of itself to have that tournament here at Notre Dame in more ways than one. It is certainly a historic event. And with me now to discuss are Steve Neiman, the director of the 2019 tournament, and Justin Belanger, the tournament's championship sales director. Gentlemen, thank you both for taking a few minutes out of your day to talk to me today. Steve, I want to start with you. Can you give us a sense of just how monumental it is for this tournament to be coming here to the Warren?
Well, when you take two iconic brands like the USGA and Notre Dame and you blend them together, I mean, obviously you're going to have a pretty good formula for success.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is the first time that the U.S. Senior Open in 40 years, when we're played in 2019, will actually be held on a college campus. So when you start to do things like that, you get people's attention. We hope that obviously, you know, all the alumni and different folks associated with the university are going to be a part of that as well.
And you know this well, given your background, but for the folks that don't, there's so many moving parts to a tournament like this, you know, when it comes to equipment, the people that they have to move around, all the setup. Just how equipped is Notre Dame to handle an event of this magnitude?
Well, very equipped, and Justin and I have, we've laughed about it because we come here and all of a sudden you see a parking lot in White Field that you can put 7,000 to 8,000 cars in. Now we don't have to do buses, and people don't have to ride 20 to 30 minutes away to park, and so they can go in and out of their car, and all the way down to laundry, doing laundry on campus versus having to outsource it. So that list just kind of keeps going and going and going. And honestly, I think that's one of the things that the USGA saw and said, yeah, it's time for us to do one of our national championships on a college campus, and why not University of Notre Dame?
All right, well, let's talk about the golf itself. Tremendous players, great talent coming into this tournament. Who are some of the guys that the fans can look forward to seeing?
Yeah, some of the big names that are coming into Notre Dame are Fred Couples, Bernhard Langer, Miguel Angel Jimenez. He's always entertaining on the driving range. Get a chance, go up there, watch him stretch out.
That's quite a routine.
John Daly, potentially. Swing it hard, hit it hard. So there's a lot of big names, and there's 156 players that are actually going to be playing and competing for this national championship.
There's John right there. He's
is.
got Stars and Stripes
Look at
pants
him.
sometimes
There
he
he
wears.
goes.
That's perfect for this event. Yeah, he's certainly a fan favorite as we look at some of the other guys on tour.
Yeah.
And I also understand, Justin, that there's a special opportunity for alumni to get involved in this event in a way that other people maybe cannot.
Yeah, absolutely. So like Steve mentioned, like Notre Dame, it's so unique, and this is a special championship. And one of our themes is, it's a first opportunity for everyone. And we want to give back to Notre Dame and create that college campus, create that college atmosphere as well. So what we did was all the Notre Dame affiliates, we are going to offer a ticket opportunity as well as a volunteer opportunity to be a part of the championship. And we're looking at targeting around May. So just keep a lookout in your inbox for an email from the championship.
And for other folks, physically, how do you go about getting tickets to this event?
Sure. So the best way to find out about the championship, purchase tickets, volunteer, find out who's playing, everything along those lines, is to go to 2019USSeniorOpen.com.
Okay. And in the meantime, the tournament's a little bit more than a year away. What are the big things you guys work on between now and then to get that place ready to host a major championship?
Well, that's one of the great things about the Warren course. I mean, the golf course hasn't needed to be changed. They just made some tiny improvements for things that would drive us crazy, right? That balls rolling into the bunker now instead of having a gap to stop that. But there's a lot of planning. Obviously, our marketing is going to start kicking in very, very soon. You're going to start to see the groundswell quite deeply here in this region for the U.S. Senior Open.
For the people that are familiar with the golf course and have played it before, how similar do you think it will play in the tournament to what folks like you and I are used to seeing on a regular basis?
I think without a doubt, the greens, the Warren courses, the greens are the defense. And
Right.
you know it. I've seen you out there playing on occasion. We'll say
playing loosely,
teeing it up as we do.
I hit the ball somewhere.
I think that golf course is so good that when you put it into a tournament, a U.S. Senior Open, USGA type of an environment, I don't think they're going to be a lot of high scores. I think it's going to be, because the greens are small, it's going to be a shot maker that's going to probably win the golf course. The guys are going to love the golf course. They're actually going to be coming over in a couple of months to see it when they visit our friends in Benton Harbor.
Yeah. Well, as you guys know, I can't wait for this to come around, and I know you guys are working diligently. So I appreciate you taking the time today to talk to us about this, and best of luck over the next year and change getting this ready.
Thanks, Pete. We appreciate all your support.
All right. We're going to take a quick break, but coming up, we're going to talk with Notre Dame's director of the Ruth M. Hildebrandt Center for Compassionate Care, as well as meet the university's first ever female police chief. That's all right after this brief message, so stay tuned.
I am the first
in my family
to go to college.
But not just any college. I'm going to Notre Dame.
I grew up the son of a carpenter and a high school teacher.
I was raised by my grandparents and I'm an only child. Until I was about 8 years old, I was sleeping on a couch in our living room.
College was not an option financially for any of us.
So when I received my financial aid letter, I was actually on Notre Dame's campus. And I'd been speaking to a financial aid counselor.
And he told me that I just had to worry about the cost of transportation.
And I literally screamed.
My voice broke and I was overwhelmed. I couldn't actually believe it.
I called my mom and I told her, you don't have to pay anything.
Because of donors and because of their gifts,
I was going to be able to attend without having the financial burden.
Your gift to Notre Dame has given me access to some of the greatest minds and resources a student could ever hope to have.
If my donor was standing right here,
I'd give him a big hug, tell him,
I'm here because of you. And thank you for giving me the gift of Notre Dame. The opportunity to attend Notre Dame has been the greatest gift of my life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Notre Dame is a place where differences of culture and religion and conviction can coexist with friendship and civility and even love.
We've been entrusted with Notre Dame to pass it on to the next generation in a way that will influence the world for another 175 years.
Welcome back to Notre Dame Day. I'm Colleen Wilcox. I am excited to welcome to this studio Dominic Vachon, the director of Notre Dame's Ruth M. Hildebrandt Center for Compassionate Care, which strives to promote compassionate care in medicine. Dr. Vachon graduated from Notre Dame in 1980 with his bachelor's degree in psychology, and I understand you also earned a Master of Divinity degree from Notre Dame in 1993. Dr. Vachon, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm happy to have you here, and tell us a little bit about the mission of the Ruth M. Hildebrandt Center for Compassionate Care.
Well, thank you for having me, Colleen. The mission of the Hildebrandt Center goes back to the first person who donated to the endowment for the center, Ruth Hildebrandt. She was a practicing psychologist, practicing in Manhattan from Toledo. And one night she was waiting for her test results, and the physician called. She was alone at home. He told her she had mesothelioma. There was nothing that could be done about it, and he hung up. So it was a rough way to get bad news. But Ruth was an amazing person to turn that harshness into kindness, and through her brother Joseph, made the first major endowment for the Ruth Hildebrandt Center for Compassionate Care in Medicine. And the mission of the center is to advance the scientific practice of compassionate care in medicine, to improve patient care, and to improve physician and clinician well-being. There's a whole new science out there, a science of compassion, and it's the biology of compassion, the neuroscience of compassion, the psychology of compassion, and we're one of the first places to apply that to practice. So we have an undergraduate component, and we also have a continuing medical education component.
And I understand, too, we talked about your educational qualifications. It really makes you distinctly qualified to lead this center. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I'm a medical psychologist. I got my doctorate from Loyola in Chicago with a specialty in why do people go into helping professions and how do they survive in it? How do they stay compassionate in it? I've spent most of my career training physicians and other clinicians as well, and I also have my own practice. And about 7 years ago, Notre Dame wanted to get this going, and there were several other families that also contributed to this, the Wright family, and there's another major donation to honor a physician that's coming up as well. So I've spent most of my life accompanying physicians and nurses and other clinicians, and it's, you know, we all want the same thing, but it's rough all in the same ways, meaning that patients and loved ones are like going, healthcare is crazy, how are we going to do this? But physicians, nurses, other clinicians are feeling exactly the same way. Yeah. And so I spent most of my years with physicians and nurses, really accompanying them through this kind of, it's a hard time in healthcare.
Absolutely. So. And I want to know, too, how unique is it for a college to teach undergraduates about compassionate care in medicine?
Well, we think we're the first undergraduate institution to teach the science of compassion in medicine. And so we have two pieces to that. One is the science of compassion, which is a brand new discipline. But the second thing is we have one of our best courses is the medical counseling skills course. And that's one where we are teaching practical skills for treating patients in terms of interpersonal skills. We're teaching that at the undergrad level. That's usually taught later on. What's going on, though, is that when people go to medical school, they are overwhelmed with so much to do. This gets put on the back burner. What we try to do is teach where the gaps are. So we don't teach the history and physical, that kind of thing, but we have a course where we use improv actors, we make a mock exam room, and that's, from what we understand, that's probably we're probably the first place to do that. Yeah.
That is really interesting, bringing in actors. That's so different. I mean, how important is it to teach students these skills, though?
Well, what we're discovering, and we've been doing this now for about 7 years, is that when we teach the skills exactly as I used to teach when I was teaching in a physician residency program. What happens is when people go to medical school, they are overwhelmed with all that they have to learn. And so when they get to working with patients, it's like that's a skill they put on the back burner. So what we're discovering, and we've done some research on this to talk to our former graduates, is that when we plant these seeds early, so how do you connect with a patient? How do you make a patient feel safe? How do you break bad news? How do you work with people on health behavior change? How do you work with people who are really discouraged or having a difficult time following through? What happens is, our former students have been telling us is it plants a seed and it just grows all the way through, because what often happens is a lot of people in medicine and dentistry and other helping professions don't learn this until much later on because there's no time in medical school. Yeah. So we try to teach for where the gaps are.
All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. We want to thank you so much for taking
thank you,
the time
Colleen, for having
to join us on set.
I've got
here.
my little.
It has this little prop as well.
So if they can look at that, this is the heart of gold. So it's blue and gold, Notre Dame, of course. And then around it is the DNA double helix, because this is the new science of compassion, that it's in our DNA.
It's in our DNA.
I
love that. Well, thank you so much for your time, and stay with us. We have a brief commercial break. We'll be right back with Notre Dame Day.
For a national championship or overtime. Ogunbowale for the win. Good! Arike Ogunbowale wins the national championship for Notre Dame.
2 nights in a row. I don't know if this is going to happen again, the miracle, but it is Easter Sunday, and all the Catholics out there were praying for us. Definitely needed it all.
And the Irish do it again for the first time in 17 years.
Wow, what a moment that was. Welcome back to Notre Dame Day. I'm Pete Byrne, and I'm very excited now to be speaking with the individual in charge of Notre Dame's police force, Chief Carrie K. Shibata. After 12 years of service in the Notre Dame Police Department, she was appointed as its chief in 2016. And what's more, she is the first woman to ever hold that position. Chief Shibata, thank you very much for joining us here on Notre Dame Day. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. I know that your father was a Michigan State Trooper, but I'm also told that originally you weren't planning on following in his footsteps. So what was your original career path, and why did you change your mind?
Well, when I started undergrad, I intended to be an American Sign Language interpreter, and then by the time I graduated, I was looking more towards ministry. And was working as a youth pastor, which didn't really quite pay the bills.
Sure.
And so having been a student security officer at Bethel College, I was familiar with that and just picked this up as a side job to help cover the bills.
Gotcha. Now, you're here at Notre Dame now, obviously, and I know you started out on the university's police force working the midnight shift, paying your dues. What has been your experience as you've worked your way up through the ranks?
It's been a great experience. Starting out on the midnight shift in the residence hall squad was a great way to learn about the residential community of Notre Dame and what our values really are, and also to get to know all of the people and the moving parts of the university. I've had the privilege to get to know not only the Notre Dame Police Department, but our partners in student affairs and just different departments and individuals throughout the university.
Sure, and the students as well. Now, as I mentioned, you're the first female police chief in the history of the Notre Dame Police Department. What does that mean to you?
It didn't even occur to me until that was kind of the headline when it was announced, and so I had to think about that a little bit, and I had always known it was a great responsibility, just the job to keep the university safe and to help develop our students and our staff. And being the first woman is an honor, and hopefully I can help pave the way for others.
You think of all the strong and talented female students that come here. What sort of an example do you feel like?
I try to be an example in everything I do, and I appreciate the opportunity to build relationships with students and encourage them, and we have that opportunity often with our students.
Now, away from the job, I've heard that in the past you've been a member of South Bend Roller Girls roller derby team, so I got to ask you about the roller derby experience, and I'm told that I need to ask you, what was your name?
My derby name was Carrie Chaos.
Carrie Chaos. I love it. What was that like?
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a great way to stay in shape. And
there you are.
Yeah. So it was a great community. The roller derby community is a great community, great opportunity to meet all kinds of different people and different parts of the South Bend community.
How did you get involved in that?
I was just looking for something to do that wasn't work.
Yeah, sure.
And it was a great place to meet new people and get involved in the South Bend community.
Are you still involved, or is it?
It's a big time commitment, so I'm not involved at the moment, but I'm definitely open to going back.
Awesome. Well, this is fascinating. Chief Shibata, thank you for joining us, and thanks for all you do here for
Thank
the
you,
university.
Pete.
We appreciate your service. We're going to now join Lori McFadden at the Hiller family midfield performance stage as she speaks with a couple of Notre Dame students who spent their winter break in Jamaica. Sounds nice, but they weren't there for a tropical vacation.
No, they weren't. I'm here right now at the Hiller Family Midfield Performance Set, and I'm joined by two Notre Dame MBA students. They're second-year students, Zach Pedersen and Jim Hiltz. They spent their recent winter break, just this winter, right, guys, in Jamaica. They were soaking up sun, but not just to escape the snow. You were there for a different reason, right? Tell me about that.
Yeah, we're working with Mustard Seed Communities, and about 17 or 18 years ago, Father Greg, he's a priest from India, was traveling in Jamaica and realized that there was a wealth of underserved Jamaican citizens with mental and physical disabilities that really had nowhere to go. And he took it upon himself to establish this entity and got 150 acres of land in the middle of Jamaica and set out to create mustard seed. And every year since then, there's been missionaries going down to help build edifices and buildings and make his dream of providing a house for these folks a reality.
Wow. So Jim, tell me a little bit about the experience. What did you actually do when you were there?
So the main mission when you go down there is to build some housing units for the residents of the community we go to live their days in. So there's caretakers, nurses, essentially that take care of about 6 to 7 residents per housing unit. So each time that we go down, we've got about a week where, in a similar fashion to Habitat for Humanity, we've got a project, whether it's to finish up one of the tiling or the roofing on a different unit. We go down, but then even more so than that, we get to interact with the residents that are far less fortunate than most of us, and that's the really neat part of the trip as well.
Yeah, Zach, have you always been drawn to service? What drew you into this whole experience?
It's something that Jimmy and I had talked about last year. So we're second-year MBAs, and in the first year, Jimmy was like, there's this really awesome opportunity for service down in Jamaica. My family's been doing it for a while. Would love it if you came along. And the timing didn't work out perfectly with Christmas break. So this past year, it did. And very, very grateful. I participated in Bengal bouts last year, and again, that has a philanthropic mission to it. Yeah. So it's something that I'm definitely energized by, and definitely grateful for Jimmy and his family for including me.
Yeah. What's the next thing? Another trip?
So one of the really neat things is that you stay in touch with the residents down there, and when you return, it's neat to see that they remember you and have that connection from the previous time you went. Yeah. Zach and I both plan on going not only this year, but as often as we can for the rest of our lives. It's obviously something that we've enjoyed, that we're passionate about, and happy to be a part of. So we'll do it as often as our schedules will allow. Did
you enjoy any fun and sun while you were there?
Yeah, we got to have the shirts off a little bit when we were putting the roofs on the houses, so it was a great experience. And interacting with the residents has really been a joy, too.
Great. Thanks so much and for your time there. We're going to go now for a brief commercial message. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Life is tough in Dandora. Crime thrives here. It's also the location of the city's primary dump site, an environmental hazard. I started selling fruits to support my family when my husband's work was not going well, but I had problems. I work outside and had to close up in bad weather. My fruit would rot if it sat too long, and when business got bad, I had no money for new inventory. I didn't know what to do.
In conjunction with Notre Dame's Ford program in Human Development and Solidarity, a team of Notre Dame economists examined wealth and poverty in Dandora, Kenya.
Many people in developing countries run small businesses, and often international aid is injected with little effect. We wanted to understand why these businesses weren't thriving or even surviving.
Kenya is my home. It was wonderful for me to apply my classroom learning to real-world challenges. Specifically, working to understand and break the cycle of poverty that strangles poor communities in my country.
Notre Dame study compared the impact of teachers versus mentors. One group of small business owners received formal classroom training, while another group received a mentor from the local business community.
My mentor, Lina, encouraged me to sell nuts during the cold season. They don't go bad as quickly as fruit, and it was her idea for me to open this cafeteria.
The businesses run by women who had mentors yielded the best results. Their profit increased by 40%, and that's amazing no matter where in the world you're doing business.
Thanks to my mentor and thanks to Notre Dame, my business is thriving. Now I can afford to feed my children and send them to school, and that brings me the greatest joy of all.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting to end poverty.
We are the Fighting Irish.
All right, welcome back to Notre Dame Day 2018. Jonathan Retartha joining you here from the Social Media Center on the first floor of Duncan Student Center. Wanted to say thanks so much for that last segment, the great work that some of our NBAs are doing around the world. Wanted to draw attention to all the different kinds of student groups and graduate programs that are eligible for your gifts and votes this Notre Dame Day. Number one in the lead right now, Business on the Front Lines. We're going to hear from Viva Barkis from the Mendoza College of Business in a little bit, all about Business on the Front Lines. The NBA Military Veterans Club has 654 votes right now. These are thousands of dollars from our $1.1 million challenge fund that you can help drive to these graduate programs, local Notre Dame Club scholarships around the country, just by making that minimum $10 gift and casting your 5 votes to help allocate this year's $1.1 million challenge fund. So thanks to each and every one of you. Over 16,500 gifts right now. We're still just getting started. Things are going to really heat up towards the end of the day here, but we have lots more of the broadcast coming up as well. So we'll take things over to another fabulous NBA, Shelby Carroll. Shelby, what's happening in the next hour?
Yeah, we have a wonderful next hour coming up. First, we're going to hear from Scott Appleby, who's our Maryland Keough Dean for the Keough School of Global Affairs. We also have Autry Denson coming up, who's a Notre Dame running back football coach, and Tom Berman from the Medieval Institute, Sam Mustaper and Alex Bars, who are Notre Dame football players from the class of 2018. We also are going to hear finally from Father Nate Wills from the Alliance for Catholic Education as well.
Yeah, it's just such a great hour. It really does show the kind of breadth of impact that the university has around the world and that you can have on Notre Dame Day with your gifts and votes. You can give to students in their residence halls to improve their experience, to help them do their amazing service projects here in the Notre Dame community. You can click the ND in the Community tab on NotreDameDay.nd.edu to give and vote specifically for those nonprofits in the area that our students work with. You can give locally to your local Notre Dame club and their local Notre Dame club scholarships. You can give to our athletics programs, club sports, centers and institutes, over 800 areas of interest, the most we've ever had this historic 5th year of Notre Dame Day 2018. Stick around. We will see you right back here again at the top of the hour.
My name's Logan Wishart. I'm a theology major, studying German and poverty studies as well. I'm from a small town called DeLand, Florida, outside of Daytona Beach. My father is a land surveyor. My mother didn't get the chance to graduate high school. By the time the Great Recession came in 2008, the Florida building industry was decimated. After that, my dad went back and forth at all kinds of different surveying positions, working for half the hours and half the pay. I realized that if I wanted to go to college and I wanted to get kind of my feet under me, it was on me. And I started looking into being a Catholic man and looking into Catholic schools so that I could study theology. And Notre Dame, of course, is the best theology program that speaks English in the entire world and also meets financial need, and it was the perfect fit. So getting into Notre Dame was the first step. But there's a big difference between being in a cog in a machine and one of 12,000 working and studying, and somebody who makes a home of the place where he lives. There are students on campus who receive so much financial need that they feel like they're greedy if they ask for any more, but they don't have the money to live a Notre Dame experience. For me, that meant that I shied away from rock climbing club and the wrestling team, and I was hesitant to buy a jacket other than the 40-year-old jacket that my grandfather had given me that wasn't waterproof. But then the Fighting Irish Initiative comes in and they offer funds and they say, here, now you can make Notre Dame your home.